Welcome to the Ballet Help Desk podcast. My name is Jenny, and I am joined by my co-founder, Brett. We are both proud ballet moms who met backstage at our children's recital. During our kids' training, we found that resources were limited, and we relied on dance magazines and fellow parents in the lobby for information. Now that our children are embarking on their professional careers, we are excited to share our combined 20 years of experience as ballet moms with all of you. We will be bringing in experts to help make sense of this complex world of ballet training. Hello, welcome back. We are kicking off our summer intensive boot camp with Robert Fulton. He is a professional dancer with the Nevada Ballet Theatre and a Penn State World Campus business major. He auditioned his way up through the ranks as a dancer and founded the Ballet Scout when he saw how hard it was to find the right dancing opportunities. Personally, Abby used the Ballet Scout last year when she was job hunting, and it really is an excellent tool. We are so excited to have him join us today. So let's jump right into the episode.
Hello.
Hi, thanks so much for joining us.
We're here with Robert Fulton. He is the founder of Ballet Scout and a company dancer with the Nevada Ballet Theatre. Did I get that right?
You got that right, yes.
Terrific. So we wanted to talk to you about a couple of things today. The first is we want to hear more about Ballet Scout and how you started it. And then also we're going to be talking a lot about summer intensives, which is a topic that has been near and dear to the hearts of the parents that are part of our site. So let's get started.
Yeah. So, Robert, thanks so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how Ballet Scout came to be?
So I am originally from Pennsylvania. I grew up training at a local studio, and then I went and trained at Houston Ballet in the professional division. I was then a trainee at Ballet West before being hired at Nevada Ballet Theatre. And I started out my professional career in 2019. So I just started, and halfway through the season, everything shuts down.
So brutal.
So brutal. And I had all this time on my hands. It's like, what am I going to do with this year, potentially 2 years off of dancing?
Right.
And at the same time, from my professional career, I had realized that's like, okay, I probably will need some sort of side hustle. I'm going to want to start something to really financially support myself. And on top of that, you know, my mom, she's always been really big into the auditions and advice and helping people out. And I was like, why is there no centralized database for dance information
Right.
Mm-hmm.
on auditions, training, and jobs? So when the pandemic hit and I had all the time in the world, I decided to team up with a software developer from Penn State University and a dear friend of mine, and we started Ballet Scout. And we then ended up teaming up with yet another developer from Penn State. And so the three of us really became the core founding team, and we just built it up ever from there.
Yeah, I mean, I personally used it this year for my daughter's audition season, and it was invaluable. So thank you for building such a friendly site. So who do you find is your core users for Ballet Scout? Do you find it's mostly students looking for auditions, or do you think it's more professionals, or kind of a combination of both?
So it's definitely a combination of everything. I believe the last time we looked, it's about 26% students, 26% parents. And the rest is split between either unmarked professionals, teachers, and those things. So it's about an even split between parents and students. But the general age range that we find, for the most part, is younger students. Well, if you're under 13, you're not allowed to use our site.
Sure.
But parents can claim the account. But so 13 through 18, big group, and then the parents of those students too. Are
you finding that it's more for summer programs or for year-round programs or for jobs?
A lot of summer intensives. I think that's always the biggest one for everybody. But also, we've been getting a big uptick in jobs recently.
Oh, really?
And a surprising hit on the colleges too. People are very interested.
No kidding.
That stuff. Yeah. Obviously year-round and all that stuff too, but we've had an increase in jobs in colleges lately. It's been exciting.
So tell me about like when you launched, what were some of the biggest surprises for you guys when people started actually using it and not just being beta testers? Like when you launched it, what was the biggest surprise you guys had?
How much work we still had to do. Oh my gosh. Like we've launched like 3 iterations of the site, and each one has been, taken from the feedback we've gotten from our invaluable customers who are, have been very supportive of our growth the whole time. The biggest thing that we really learned was the exact filters that people are going to want and the data that people are going to want to see at a quick glance. Sometimes we had just too much text. It was too long for people to read, or they weren't right style filters. So a lot of people, hey, I'm looking for a specifically Vaganova program. Can you put that in there instead of just like classical contemporary? So we've been adding more and more filters and having an easy display of information for viewing.
So what was the thing that outperformed you really surprised you when you guys launched? What were you kind of thinking was going to be maybe not so great and really kind of took off from there?
So the site signups in general, like we've had a lot of account users just signing up and using the information. That surprised me, but also the social media, like just how much traction we've gotten on there. Our discussion groups. I don't know, there's not one like aspect of the site that I would say like blown away that outperformed. I expected kind of all of it to be used by someone, and I'm just happy that people are using it.
Yeah. Have you seen pretty consistent growth month over month?
Yes. Yeah, it's been very exciting. So especially in the social media, it's just been going up and up and up.
What social media are you guys using other than Facebook?
Instagram, TikTok, Threads now.
You did join Threads?
Yeah, we joined Threads, LinkedIn. We have a bunch of things. It's a multi-platform. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we haven't quite figured out the TikTok thing yet. Like
it's a lot of work, let me tell you. Yeah. It takes a long time. You make a 5-second reel, it's going to take minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys have a specific person now who's in charge of social media?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier. It's us.
Yeah.
We do everything. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some new features that might be coming up? Is there a new iteration or like some new things that you're cooking for the next year's audition season that maybe you guys can give us a preview for?
Yeah, so we have 2 really exciting things coming out, and they cater to kind of both ends of our user base. So Ballet Scout's double-facing model, right? We have organizations that can come on and market and recruit to the dancers, and then we have obviously the dancers looking for auditions, training, and jobs. So on the organization side, we are releasing this new technology where they'll be able to enter their information themselves, claim their site on Ballet Scout, and set up an admin and post advertisements directly from the site. Basically, we're hoping to really increase the amount of information and the validity of the information on there because it is influenced or at least monitored by someone from the organization itself. Now on the dance, sorry.
That's fantastic. I mean, the thing that we're noticing, like we're getting summer intensive reviews coming in, and one of the questions we ask is what styles are taught and what techniques are taught. And it's something I think because it's information that's either second or third hand, coming from the dancer to the parent filling out the review, sometimes it's inaccurate. And so getting that stuff directly from the program would probably be really helpful.
Yeah, we hope it will be. Yeah. And then on the dancer side, we're releasing profiles so they can put all their audition materials in one place and submit it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's neat. So almost like a LinkedIn where people can, do you think that eventually it'll help dancers match with companies, like things that they're looking for? Is that kind of the goal that you guys want?
That's the goal. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Will audition reels be up there too?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
You can upload everything from resume, headshot, supplemental photos, highlights, dance videos, all that stuff, and then send it in a secure link.
That's really smart. Are you guys going to be launching that in time for this year's audition season?
Yeah, we planned for it to come out kind of end of August.
Oh, that's
So,
fabulous.
Oh,
Okay.
that's really exciting.
Good.
yeah, we'll need some people to test it. So maybe at your summertime boot camp.
Yeah. Send it our way. We'd be happy to help get it out to people.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sure, of course. So I want to turn to summer intensives because that's going to be a big thing starting probably in September or October. Why don't you walk us through how Ballet Scout can help a dancer get ready for summer intensive auditions and then through the whole process?
Yeah, so on Ballet Scout, you just go to ballet.scout.info and create an account. And on the search, you'll find summer intensives. And it will have a big list of all the summer intensives that we have in the database. And you can filter it depending on your needs. Are you looking for a program with housing? Are you looking for a program in an area near you? Are you looking for a program that's Vaganova or Balanchine style? Are you looking for a program that is 5 weeks, or are you just looking for a 2-week supplemental program? Is your budget $5,000 and less? All of those filters you can plug into Ballet Scout, and it will bring up the ones that fit all that specific criteria.
That's really, I didn't realize you guys had a budget one too. I think that that's really helpful. We get a lot of parents who talk to us about how do you afford this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ballet is really expensive, but we also have scholarships and financial aid filters on there too. And for the programs that offer those. And a lot of the times they will, especially if you are honest and upfront with them. A lot of the times they're going to try and help you get the dancer at the program. So.
Sure. Now, when you're putting up scholarship information, are you putting up both merit and then need-based information?
Yeah, we consider the need-based like the financial aid, basically.
Right, exactly.
And the merit is based on the scholarship. Yeah.
Okay. So how are you doing the scholarship piece? I'm just curious because a lot of times schools are pretty opaque about how their scholarships are handed out.
Yes. So for that one, we actually had to put an unknown section on there because a lot of the times the companies will not let you know. But usually they list it on the site. And for the biggest organizations where it's pretty obvious that they're going to be giving scholarships, or we've been to a summer intensive for people getting scholarships.
So do you just have something that says merit scholarships available, yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. Now that's really helpful, especially for the programs that don't offer scholarships. It's good for parents to know that there's potentially no money.
Yeah. And that's kind of another long-term goal with Ballet Scout, and I'm sure something you're trying to do with Ballet Help Desk is to not just bring that transparency to the parents and the students, but also help that ease into organizations seeing, oh, this is the world standard. Right. I need to be offering scholarships and financial aid too. If everyone else is, that's competition, and those people are doing that while I'm not. And now that everybody knows about this, I'm at a disadvantage if I'm not offering this.
Exactly. Right. And sometimes it's just a function of how big the school is and what the budget is.
Yeah.
If they have a lot of money, it's a lot easier to hand out scholarships. But so many of these programs are still really coming back from COVID that I know, I keep hearing anecdotally that scholarships have been cut a lot just because programs are trying to recoup all their losses from COVID.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll bounce back soon.
Hopefully, yeah.
Talking about more about summer intensives, what are some of the main questions that you guys tend to get when summer intensive season rolls around?
The biggest ones that we see are kind of similar to the situation with your daughter at PBT is, am I going to be able to use this summer intensive to get into another program? Right. What do I look for? What are the signs that I could get in? And should I even rely on this, or should I have a backup plan?
Right. Oh, are you guys thinking you're going to move to like a niche kind of thing where, like for colleges, they have that scatter graph where it's like, if you have these things, is that what you're talking about in Ballet Scout, where it's like, you'll have like a probability of if you can get in?
That would be really cool. I would love to build that. That'd be really interesting.
I'm happy to see that idea. Oh, I just thought that's kind of where you were talking about, because they do have that for colleges, but ballet is kind of weird that way though. And it depends on paper. You can look one way, but it's how you show up in an audition too, right?
Exactly. I don't think it would be as easy to put together a probability for dancers with all the random criteria and sometimes just the whims of a director liked you in the audition that day. But this is just more just people reaching out to us. Hey, some so-and-so is here and they're really interested. And then the teacher, they've been paying the most attention to them at class, is it worth auditioning, but the housing and all that stuff, it might pose an issue. So it's just very specific criteria with something like that. The other things that we get are just what is going to be the best one. What, if I'm just starting out with a summer intensive, what should I look for? What I don't even know where to start. And I'm sure you guys are kind of helping answer that. But my answer to that is always, you want to look for a summer intensive that is going to push your boundaries beyond your local studio, especially for students coming from just a small, more local place. You want a summer intensive that's going to diversify the repertoire that you use. If you are primarily Balanchine trained, it's going to be vital for your career to maybe go to another place that teaches you a different style. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be the main focus of that, but you just want to get a diverse rep of teachers, especially as a young student, because you don't know how your body is going to grow out. You don't know what your strengths are going to be 5 years down the road. But if you can have a baseline of everything, then when you go to a professional company, you might have that quick long line technique for Balanchine. That's great, go for it. But you might have more power. You might want to be more classical.
Right.
If you can start diversifying at a younger age, just getting that experience would be so much easier. And furthermore, in companies nowadays, you have to do every kind of style.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you have to be able to switch. You have to also be able to partner. If you're not getting partnering at your studio, go to a place where they're going to offer partnering class, or point or contemporary, all that stuff. Just really experience it.
What do you think are the three, building on that, like that's a really good point about the variety of styles and the partnering. So let's say you've got a kid and their parents who are like, this is their first dipping of the toe into the summer intensive water. What are some of the things you would tell them to pay special attention to versus a student who might be a little older and a little more well-versed in this?
For the people just starting out, I would say look at the overall experience more than just the pure training of it, because you're dipping your toe in the water, you're maybe leaving home for the first time. You're going to want to look at some of the non-dance things too. What are the excursions that they're offering? It's going to be fun. Is my child just going to be locked in a dorm?
I think that's so great for parents to be able to filter some of that out and understand what they're having. And I think that's where Ballet Scout and Ballet Help Desk really are very complementary, because we have so much of that in our reviews where, it's all crowdsourced. And then you guys, from your perspective, where you're coming at it from more the administration side, where you have actual companies verifying what they have and what they don't. Mm-hmm. I think they dovetail really, really nicely.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, because it's good to hear both sides for what the organization is saying and then what the people who actually attended.
So if you've got parents and kids who are watching this video or, listening to the podcast, what are the three things that you would say need to be kind of top of mind in terms of what they need to be looking at when they're considering different summer programs?
So, I guess we can build off of so are these the ones who are just starting out still?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's just so many factors that go into it. And as we just discussed, some of the things you want to look at are the diversification of styles. Are they going to get a good variety of master teachers? Other things that they should look at are, what are the hours of the summer intensive? Yeah. And is that are the students getting a lot of training per week? Is this within my goals, or is this going to be even too intense for my kid? So you can kind of take it off the level that they're at right now. If they are not used to doing 45 hours a week of dancing, then some intensives might not be for them.
Right.
So do you have a filter like that on Ballet Scout? Yes. You can say how many hours you're kind of looking for.
Yeah. And most are great. 30 hours a week, 35, that's perfect. But some can get really intense, which can be great if that's what you're looking for. But, it also could be too intense for the students. I would also look for what is the age range of the group, and are there different levels within that summer intensive that are going to accommodate the age and level of your student, especially if they're younger going into it. Are they going to be lumped in there with the 18-year-olds? That might, and again, this is all up to what you and your child prefer. Sometimes that can be inspiring, but sometimes that can just not be the focus that you need. It could be overwhelming and intense. It's all how you think they're going to react to that.
I agree.
Sorry.
Are you seeing that there is a trend where more and more companies are, or schools are adding like a young dancer program and they're splitting the program in two, or is that kind of just anecdotally, we hear about it here and there?
No, I definitely think there's more of a trend of splitting things up into a junior program. Definitely a young dancers one. The cutoff though is usually 12. So if you're, going to 13, 14, you might be in with the bigger, the older kids, but at the same time, they'll also have subsections of levels within there that will group them together. So you'll have your upper students, you'll have like levels 1 through 4 is like 8 to 12. And then
So I want to ask you, kind of building on that in terms of the things to consider specifically for boys. So, I have a son who's done several summer intensives, and one of the things we always looked for was programs that would have a lot of boys, but sometimes you don't know. So if you're the parent of a boy, sometimes it's a little different in terms of the criteria, but also the types of programs they should be looking at. Is there any advice, you being a male dancer, having gone through these summer programs, that you'd have for parents of boys?
Yes. Yeah. Look for prominent male teachers in the faculty, and multiple of them. If they have multiple male teachers, you're going to be more guaranteed like they actually have a men's program set up. You're going to have just a diversification of teachers that will be great. You won't just be stuck with them or being thrown into, you'll have your own men's class every day. Right. Other things that they should look for are just generally the size of the program. The bigger the program, the more likely it is that they will have guys. At the same time, though, that's not always hard and fast. I know at Philadelphia Ballet, they just have only like 8 boys in the entire summer intensive, which is surprising, but that's just, I guess, the way things go. Scholarships, obviously, if they give your boy a scholarship, they're definitely trying to recruit them and bring them all there. You can also look at the dorm handbooks and all that. If they have a specific section, like a floor for the guys, like if you look at P&B, they have, floors 4 and 5 are just for the guys.
Right.
You can see there, it's like, oh, okay, they've got 2 floors filled.
Right.
So that's going to be a pretty good indicator that they have a bigger program there.
Sure. Now, what would you tell parents of girls who are looking at programs that may not have a lot of boys? One of the things you brought up was partnering. And one of the things we're seeing in survey reviews that are coming in is a lot of parents of girls saying, we really wish there was more partnering.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's hard. There's just not enough to go around. I would say keep trying to get to the bigger programs that you can see have that consistent partnering, or it might be beneficial to go to a much smaller program where there would be one guy and maybe 5 or 6 girls in your class, and then you can do more personalized things. For the partnering experience, I would definitely say that it doesn't have to come right away. You'll generally get it really nicely once you go to a pre-professional program or you're in that professional training program. Like Houston, they do
a lot of partnering.
And that's really helpful for everybody. So it might be a bit of a crapshoot for summer intensives, but yeah, if you look at the bigger ones, look at the schedule, obviously, if they have partnering classes, or, try and get it at your local studio. It's hard, but.
Okay. No, that's helpful.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. So for parents who have younger students, and this might be their first dip into learning how, the summer intensive, what would you say holistically is the best way for parents to approach doing a summer intensive application season?
Mm-hmm. I would say, first off, just start with your research. Use Ballet Help Desk, use Ballet Scout, find out exactly what your target schools are, what are going to fit your criteria, write out a list of what you're really looking for in a program and try and find the places that will match data points. If you don't know where to look, I'm sure Ballet Help Desk has, these things you should probably look for in the summer intensive. Ballet Scout has filters, so you can look at those, identify that. Then I would research those programs and find auditions. And spreadsheets really help. On Ballet Scout, we have a compare filter, so you can favorite and compare two programs. But if you want to spreadsheet that information, you can kind of track exactly how these programs compare for when they get an acceptance. And then you can make a decision off that. Then you want to find the auditions. So you know your programs, they're going to fit your criteria. I'd also recommend doing, it's not as important for summer intensives, but similar to college, you have your reach intensives, you have your normal intensives, and you have your fallback ones. So you have a plan that you can get in anywhere. And then
actually a really solid point. I do think, because a lot of parents just apply to the ones that they know. And that was the approach that both of us always took, which was, look at it like college. So I just want to stress that for parents because, you don't know, there are certain intensives that become really hot and then, it becomes much more selective.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. But then, they find their auditions, line those up, try and plan out audition weekends. I really recommend getting multiple in per weekend. That is going to be the best way to save your money and your time. Try and find if you could do 2 auditions one place on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. I would always, you can find your audition hub. So growing up in central Pennsylvania, I would always either go to Washington Ballet or Pittsburgh Ballet. Occasionally I would go to Philadelphia Ballet, like one of those two, but like Washington Ballet would have 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. So I'd go in, do an audition, have an hour break, dinner, and then do another audition. And, if your student dances 3 hours a night, normally that's no different for them. So they will be okay doing 2 auditions in one day. It actually might even be more relaxed, warmed up by that second audition. So it will be beneficial. They won't be as bad as they think they look by that second audition. So I highly recommend, condensing all of that. Then you got your audition season done. You get the applications in, and you can use your spreadsheet or compare filter to find which one is going to be best for you. And for the starting dancers, again, I really recommend just focusing on the overall experience of it. Summer intensives are the most fun times for dancers. It's a time to meet new peers, share your passion for this art form, explore a new city, and get great dance training. So just have fun with it.
We always told the younger kids, like whenever parents will ask us our advice, we always said, if your kid is 12 or 13, treat it like summer camp. Treat it the same way you would treat your non-dancing kids. Because when they're 12 or 13, the main thing you want to get out of a summer intensive is you want them to want to come back. Mm-hmm. And so if they go to a summer intensive when they're 12 and they have a disappointing experience, they may not want to go to another one. And so we always said, the most important thing is they should have a good time and not be ready to go home when it ends.
Yep. I completely agree. It's all about the experience. And because that really ignites the passion for what a career in dance is going to be.
Exactly.
Can you wake up and go dance? Instead of
right. Even when you're tired or you don't want to, or, all of your friends are going to the pool or, these young kids sacrifice so much training. It's got to be fun.
And there's going to be plenty of time when they're older. There's a strategy around summer intensives. And we plan to talk about that in our boot camp that, as you get older, I'm sure you went through this. I know our kids went through that, is what's the strategy that you go through each summer and how do you treat summer intensives as kind of part of your overall career path?
Yeah. No, definitely. We can talk about that really quick. That's really important. So the pathing of summer intensive to get to a professional level. And again, so you start with the fun summer intensives, but you want to get diversification or training. You start ramping up, getting used to doing 5 weeks. You don't have to start with 5, maybe 2 or 3, but get used to that 5-week program. By like 16, 15, 16, if you're looking for a professional program, and you can start earlier, but 15, 16 is about average, I would say. Then you can start attending summer programs for acceptance into the year round.
Right.
Some have double auditions, right? So you can audition for the year round at the summer intensive audition, but most of the time, like with your daughter, you go from the summer intensive, and that's how you do it. I would say, especially because of just how much harder it is to get in that way, and how much competition, and just in case you don't make it, give yourself, maybe 2-3 years of doing that until you get an offer.
Right.
And that's really important. And the other thing is, especially as you get older, look for prominent teachers and look for summer intensives that bring in directors from other places. Their guest faculty is an impressive list of guest faculty. The networking, like, just have your student introduce themselves, be kind, get a photo when they're at the end of week of class, work hard, just make an impression, because they will remember you. It's crazy. And you will run into them again. Like, you never know when you're going to see one of these teachers, when they might be hiring you later on. So just utilize it as a big networking opportunity as you work your way up.
Yeah, I think that's really important. But, lots of times they don't post that. So if parents are looking to help their kids navigate that and try to research teachers, where are some tools that they can really do that? Because, like myself, I didn't know anything about ballet. So, I couldn't really tell the difference between what is a good teacher and a bad teacher, and who's, other than like a prominent name. I think I knew about Barishnikov, and that's kind of it.
No, that's actually a really, really good question. A lot of the times the websites will list the guest faculty, and they should have a bio on the guest faculty. So you're going to want to read the bios. Okay, so this person is a director here. This person you're looking for artistic directors or ballet masters or prominent choreographers, looking for those. Mm-hmm. And also looking for the next generation of those. So if you see, this person's the principal dancer with this ballet company, they might 10 years down the line be the director of another. So, and if they don't have the bios, you can always research those names. That's a bit more labor intensive, but it's definitely worth it, especially as you get into the upper levels to make connections.
For sure. And so with talking again about summer, what do you think are some common mistakes that a lot of dancers or dance parents make when looking for summer intensives?
The biggest mistake that I think parents make, and is, like you mentioned earlier, is getting caught up in only the companies that you know. There's so much out there, and this applies to every level of ballet. There's so much out there, and if one place doesn't work out, that is not the end. There are hundreds of other programs that are going to get you the exact same level of training or even better. They might just not have the name of ABT, right?
Right.
But don't hold yourself to that, and don't let that discourage you. Even if you're going to a much smaller program in upstate New York, as long as it is educational for your dancer, they're having a good time, and they're putting in the work, they will get something great out of it.
Right. No, I think that's great advice, because it is, you can get so much more out of a program if you put in maximum effort, no matter the name, no matter the class, right? Even just in a master class.
Yep. The other thing I would say as a RA, so RA for CPYB, is your kids are in good hands. Trust us. We are taking care of them. It's going to be a better experience for everybody. Just let us do our thing. Obviously, you can care about the kids, check in, all that stuff. But a lot of the times, like the helicopter people who are just way too involved, they can actually sunder the experience.
Yeah. And so may I ask you anecdotally, you being a professional dancer and having gone through this fairly recently, how much of a break did you need every summer? Like, because a lot of parents, like I'm seeing some, even for their 12-year-old, they're doing 3 intensives a summer and maybe have a week or 2 off.
That is pretty intense. At a younger age, that can be manageable, but you just really got to make sure that at that point, if they're doing that intense level, that they are cross training and taking care of their bodies actively, not just dancing all day and then going home and, doing whatever. That is going to take active recovery because you don't want them to develop stress fractures or injuries early on in life. So that is something to worry about. I recommend, at least like 2 weeks in between intensives and towards the end. More than 2 weeks is not as necessary because you're going to want to start getting back into shape anyways after that 2 weeks, but you can take a hard 2 weeks off and come back to dancing pretty well. But the trick is that, especially as you get older, you learn this, is your body doesn't recover with static rest. You have to actively rest for your body to flush out the toxin or inflammation to actually help you heal. So inflammation heals your muscles actually slight bits.
Right.
So like when you're dealing with tendinitis, you want to be working it to get it slightly inflamed, and that actually increases the healing process. And it works miracles. So if you are taking these rests, and if they are short, like 1 week off, do not just rest and sleep. Get up, walk, do your calf things, roll out. Make sure that you are moving your body and working through that range of motion, and it will actually help you recover a lot.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard of a number of parents talking about how their kids are stacked up for the whole summer. And that always just struck us as a little bit, a little too much. But there's also this arms race that exists where parents think, oh, if my dancer takes a couple of weeks off, everybody's going to pass them by. And we try to tell people that's just really not true.
Yeah, rest is very important. Yeah, 2 weeks off in between your programs is, I think, going to be actually more beneficial than just powering through. Because if they power through too much, get an injury, that's going to set them back 6 months.
Right, exactly. And we've seen it happen a lot.
Yeah. And you have to have time to be a kid.
Yeah.
Go ride your bike.
Yep. Enjoy it. It doesn't have to be full ballet.
No, not at all, especially when they're younger.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you think our parents and our dancers should know that we haven't talked about so far?
I really want to stress, like we just kind of talked about it, but I really want to stress cross-training and active recovery. I mean, it will make such a difference in their lives. And you've seen, the elevation of ballet technique from what Baryshnikov really kicked off, like powerful men's dancing in the United States, to now when you have 12-year-olds at YIGP who are doing the exact same stuff that he did. And you're like, how is this possible? But a lot of it's due to increased sports medicine knowledge and ways that you can strengthen your body and maximize the use of your muscles. And just starting at an early age with Pilates or yoga, just something that strengthens the body in other ways than dance, is going to make you just so much more stable and prevent so much injury. I really wish I had, my summer intensives actually did a great job at this. They started the boys with men's weight training at a young age. And I am forever grateful for that, because that helped build the strength that when I went and started doing more partnering, I wasn't throwing out my back like some of the other guys. Or for girls who start doing Pilates and yoga and really working their interior turnout muscles and strengthening behind the knees, if they had like that great hyperextension, they're actually protected now. Versus the dancers who also have that hyperextension but don't have the strength to support it, they're just sinking into it and they're dancing, and suddenly they're going to have ACL tears, they're going to have major tendinitis in those knees. So just, work in other ways other than dance.
That's really helpful. And that's really good to know. Would you say when dancers and families are looking at summer programs, it's important to evaluate what cross-training programs are available in those programs?
Yes. Yeah. I definitely agree. If they have like additional workout classes, that is a big plus, I really think. Or if they even have like a roll and recovery class. I don't know. Do they still do the Yamuna at Houston?
They do. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think Sam does it. They do it at 8:00 in the morning, twice a week. So it's kind of a brutal schedule. They also, at least when our kids were in Houston, you could sign up for private Pilates, like an optional Pilates class. Would you recommend to parents that if there are optional body conditioning classes, that the kids, if the schedule permits, that they take advantage of that?
I think it's good. Yeah. If the schedule permits, and it depends on, like keep a realistic schedule. I mean, if you're dancing 9 to 5, that
Right.
might be just too much on top of it if it's
Sure.
an additional workout class. But if they have the energy and the time, and it might be a more low impact class like that, that can just be really good to just get the muscles back in line, working normally.
Okay.
So on Ballet Scout, do you guys have like a filter to say whether or not they have like those cross-training classes in their summer intensive as kind of a way to nudge programs to kind of say like parents really want you to have these, or, kind of help move that needle a little bit?
No, but that's another great idea. We have more filters to add. Yeah.
It's one of the things we ask in our reviews is what kind of conditioning classes are available. And it's been interesting. Like we've seen everything from none to like 5 or 6 different types. And so, I didn't realize when we started this that there were some programs that didn't have any kind of cross training.
Yeah.
But it's kind of opened our eyes that there are some that have a whole lot and some that just don't have.
Yeah. And I love Aki so much.
Yeah.
He's the best, and he really changed like the way everybody danced and prevented injury among everybody. It was really impressive.
Yeah, no, he's great, and he's really in the dancer's corner, which I like. And he's always the first person to say, "You're tired, you need to take a break."
Yeah,
which has been nice.
That is very important. Taking breaks.
Yeah, clearly you are a big advocate of it.
Very big advocate of breaks. Yes.
Yeah. So, I want to turn. This is a pretty big departure, and I'm just saying this because we're probably going to edit this apart from everything else. So
yeah, sounds good.
Clearing some space on the video so we can do that. But one of the things that we've been hearing anecdotally now that our kids are kind of on the cusp of professional careers, and I was actually just talking to my son about this yesterday, is that things seem to be aging up since COVID. And so older kids in trainee programs, older kids in second companies, and older students coming into full companies. Are you guys seeing any data on Ballet Scout that supports that?
Yes. Yeah. And it actually started a bit pre-COVID too. There's a few things that go into this. So first of all, it's this weird phenomena of the increase of validity in college dance.
Mm-hmm.
And the increase in how good the teaching is in college dance.
Okay.
Versus how widely it's accepted in the ballet world as ballet. So what I saw at Ballet West as a trainee, we had like 10 people out of like a 30-person program that were coming from these colleges, and they were really talented, but it wasn't IU.
Right.
And Indiana University or Butler, those are like the 2 respected ones right now. But so many other programs are getting better and better. But these companies then say, well, we don't know if, SMU is valid enough for an apprentice or company position. So we're going to put you in the trainee program and test you out for a few years. So that was one of the age increases that I saw. The other was, like, I think you were kind of hinting at, is that people get stuck.
Right.
And it's hard for them. Companies get so exclusive and they aren't drawing from their programs as much as you hope. So you go from a trainee program at one place and, I think we're saying Houston did this, where they just didn't even hire anyone from the second company, really? Or
no, this year they took 3 apprentices from the second company.
Okay.
The good news is the 6 or 7 second years, they had really good placements outside of Houston. And Houston did a lot to support them getting those jobs.
That's good. That's good. But a lot of programs you see, like, they'll have 10 or 15 second company or trainee members, and they'll promote one.
Right.
And they'll hire outside for the rest. And those dancers are now stuck at this trainee level. And why it's really hard is because or companies want company experience.
Right.
And they want to test you out then before you join a company if you have not had this prior company experience. So a lot of the times then they'll take that trainee who just did a 2-year trainee program and give them another trainee offer. So the age slowly increments from, 2021 in a trainee program. Now they're 22, 23 going on. And then they might get to second company 24, 25. So my recommendation to that is don't settle at a program and don't bank on it. And so each year, do your auditions. Even if it's a 2-year program, even if you're thinking that will actually make you more high values. You're auditioning every year. You're saying, okay, no, you might want me for this, but I know my worth and I know that other companies might want me. So audition every year, give yourself as many chances as you can to make a vertical move, right? So try not to move horizontally from trainee to trainee. At least try and move, trainee to second company, or if you're going to go trainee to trainee, make sure it's at a better program. But at the same time, another thing that you can do is just start building your resume. There are so many smaller companies out there that are going to get you the experience, training, and resume. So you can go from a trainee program and then you might go to a smaller company like Avant Chamber Ballet. But at Avant Chamber Ballet, you're going to be doing soloist principal roles because it's a small company. Get that on your resume, and then you can audition out from there.
So are you seeing more and more they're doing that where people aren't staying in one place for a long time? They're kind of like a year or two in a place and just building their resume up that way.
I wish I would see that more, but no, because too many people get stuck there and they get offered, oh, well, we can give you a 3rd year of trainee or, but we can't promote you and that kind of stuff. So we're seeing a lot
like, oh, you can perform at the company more, or we'll put you on the short list. And
yeah, exactly.
What do you tell people who have been sort of on that treadmill for a couple of years where they've gone from trainee to maybe second company? At what point do you just say, you know what, maybe you should look at some other options?
I would say that right after the first traineeship, like if you haven't been promoted from that, I would say don't really try not to go to another trainee program. Like really try and just start auditioning for companies, any kind of company, any place where you can get that professional experience on your resume, because you really never know the opportunities you're going to get once you're in a professional company. Like at MBT, like I always considered it a smaller company. Like it was not on the forefront of my radar, but then I got the job here and I was like, all right, you know what, I'll take it. And then suddenly all these other people I know from all my previous trainee programs who thought they were above it or everything, now they're auditioning for us, right? Like they're trying to get it, but I got my foot in the door when there were openings. Right. And so it's important. Now I'm building my resume, getting that experience. And then on the other hand, there's a place, Columbia City Ballet, which is not even, it's much more contemporary. It's in Georgia? South Carolina, thank you. Down there. And NBT needed more guys for a show, so they hired 4 of the guys from Columbia City Ballet to come out and dance with NBT. And at that point, now that's a big opportunity for you to audition.
Sure.
You've had that, you're considered a professional. Companies trust you as a professional to bring you in from other places. Now you're on their radar and you can audition there and work your way up. So just getting professional experience is super important.
Well, and I think also, one thing I'm hearing from you, and this is some advice my son got when he was young, like the first program he ever went to is everything's an audition. No matter what you're doing, everything's an audition, whether it's, sitting next to somebody in the audience who might be influential, to coming and guesting with a different program, to, even teaching a class somewhere. You just never know.
Even to the email that you send.
Right.
that the wording in your emails really makes a difference on how they interpret, who you are.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. And your reputation starts getting built at summer programs when you're young.
Yep.
I mean, I can't believe that my son, got back to Houston for the second company, and there were kids that he had met when he was 13.
Yep.
And, the way these kids remember him is still pretty vivid.
Yep.
Later.
Yep. It's crazy.
It is. And we always tell parents, like, your reputation starts getting built the minute you walk in the door of your first summer program.
Yeah. It's like the ballet world is so small. It's scary. Like, everyone knows everyone, and you will know people at every place you go, whether it be from 10 years ago at your first summer intensive, when
right.
you were very cringy and you did something cringy, and they still remember that. Yeah.
Yes, right. So you got to work on digging yourself out of that hole.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about summer? So are you seeing on Ballet Scout that there are company auditions, trainee auditions, or spots that are now becoming available in the summer that maybe weren't open in the spring? Like, should people be checking all year long? I know you guys are posting it on your social media because I follow you guys, so I see it when you guys post it. But, are you seeing that there's an uptick in kind of availability again now moving into July, or not as much?
Yes. Yeah. So organizations are hiring year round, and a lot of this has to do with, contracts renew sometimes in April even. And if someone decides not to come back, then suddenly they have an open spot at the end of the year. They have to get all the director might go on break or vacation for a bit. He's not even checking his emails. Then they come back in the middle of summer, like, all right, well, we got to hire 2 people for next year. So open it up.
Yeah.
So yes, check year round. Or a lot of places just have rolling auditions year round. So you can submit at any time. You might just get lucky that someone is leaving at that point. So it's worth it.
Yeah, the year-round thing, I was not aware of that, but I'm hearing that that's a thing.
Yeah, and there's also just new companies popping up. They're doing bigger rep for the season. They might have confirmed, they might have just locked down a ballet that's going to need 50 people. So they're going to need to hire more contracts for that year. There's a lot of factors.
Sure. Yeah. On that note, in terms of like professional careers, one thing you mentioned when we were talking about aging up is college. And, this is kind of an age-old debate is, does going to college further your ballet career? And how should college fit into the mix? Like, I know what you're doing is you went to a company right out of high school and you're doing college on the side. But what are you seeing in terms of how college is fitting into the professional ballet career ecosystem now?
It's getting more and more viable every year.
Okay.
I think a lot of really good teachers are starting to go to these college programs. So at IU, you've got just this absolutely stacked faculty. Carla Corbis and Sarah Roth, amazing at Southern Methodist University. Silas Farley, who was the dean of Colburn and New York City ballet dancer. Now he's taking over. Butler, I don't know the faculty right off the top of my head, but I know they're really, really good. There's more and more college programs that are becoming viable.
Okay.
And what I would say, the 2 problems is that there's still not enough that are viable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get into, I'd say there's like maybe 15 programs in the US that are going to prep you for a professional career.
Okay.
Maybe even less, which is way more than it used to be. But if they don't get into those programs, the colleges treat it like you're dancing in college for fun, but we don't expect you to get a professional career.
Got it.
And it's really disheartening to see. I saw this at UNLV. I was doing a guesting for them, and they just don't quite have the resources to train them.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't even motivate the students to put in their own work to work towards a professional degree. It's like, enjoy it while you're in college, but we're going to set you up for something else. So be careful for that.
Okay.
With that for college, what is kind of Ballet Scout kind of recommending that kids do? If, let's say you're like a sophomore, should you still be going out to yearly auditions to just kind of see what's out there? Or are you seeing that complete the full track of the college curriculum and then be auditioning?
No, well, it depends on what you want to do. If you're really set on a double major or an outside field, then yeah, finish it out. It's not going to be too harmful at all. But we're seeing a lot of people that are auditioning early, and that does help them. A lot of people who leave, and the colleges usually, for the most, should set you up to leave early.
Mm-hmm.
Some don't, so definitely look at that while you're researching colleges. But I do recommend starting your auditions maybe your junior year. You might not. Sophomore might be a bit early. You probably want to get it mostly done so you can fit it online easier.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely do summer intensives and get your foot in the door, or any workshops you can in between every year.
What are you seeing are some summer intensives? Are they like upping their age? Because a lot of summer intensives kind of, at least in the US, top out at like 18. But like, I know my daughter's at Royal Danish right now, and I think they're up to 29.
Yeah, a lot of summer intensives are actually getting older and older. Very few cap at 18 nowadays. We're seeing mostly like a lot of places. It actually makes our job harder. A lot of them aren't even putting an age limit on them anymore. We assume it's kind of around, maybe 25, right when, you're going to either be a professional or you're not, I think, for the most part at that. But let me actually look at this. Let's see. Because you can filter for age. So if I change my age to like 22, make this 2001. Okay, let's see. Let's do a test right now.
I love it. Right on the air. Let's go.
Yeah, on air. Okay, so we have 417 summer intensives right now before the filter. With 22 years of age, now there's 124.
That's
still a lot.
Yeah, definitely less, but.
So do professionals still go to summer intensives? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I would say, though, you do mostly your home studios intensive, right? Because you've set up a life there. That is now your home. It's easier to just go there than travel. So a lot of them go to, the NBT summer intensive. That's what we did in the past few weeks. Or there are intensives geared more towards professionals, like Miguel Suarez down in Florida.
Right.
She's doing a specific professional dance camp. Or there are these, like more workshops. You're not going to go to like the 5-week, intensive, but there are these like workshops that are geared towards the much higher level dancers that are 2-3 weeks long max, and professionals do go to those. Yes.
Do you have a filter for that in Ballet Scout?
No, we do not have a professional intensive, but I mean, you can set your age and set your weeks if you want to do that.
Just one more nugget for you.
Yeah.
Add another filter.
So I have another question for you about college. Because one of the things we keep hearing is, I want to get back to college, kind of furthering your career, is that when you come out of college, you're starting at the same place that somebody coming right out of a professional training program would be starting. Can you talk about that a little bit and whether or not that's really accurate?
Not quite actually, because for the best colleges, they're going to be run more like a company. So you're going to get repertoire experience that is 10 times better than what they are getting at a trainee program.
Wow. Okay.
Because trainee program, a lot of the times you're going to be, you take your trainee class, maybe you have variations class, and you're standing in company rehearsals.
Right.
So you're the fisherman in Swan Lake.
Mm-hmm.
But at IU, you're dancing Swan Lake. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the big differences. You're getting actually dancing performance experience multiple times per year at a good one. So you should definitely look for that.
Okay. So, and are they coming out of college programs going into core contracts? Is that what you're seeing?
For guys, yes. Okay. Not as much for girls, and honestly, not much for guys. A lot of the times they will still give them an apprentice, but it is definitely better. They're not just getting trainee or second company anymore, but they're getting directly into an apprentice or occasionally a company position. Yes.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that the benefit of going to the college route instead of the trainee route is they dance more.
Yes. If you get to a good one, yes, you dance more. You get more mentorship. I do find that trainee programs, it's a lot of just not slave labor, but you're not their priority.
And I see a lot of trainee programs are extremely big. And so the likelihood of getting into that company's either second company or an apprenticeship, the numbers are kind of stacked against you.
Yeah. So it's like at Ballet West for me, they were nice and honest. Thankfully, at the beginning of the year, it's like, we don't want you for the company.
Right.
They had their few that they wanted for the company, the 3 they knew, and they really only cared about them. So what happened to me, which ended up being a blessing in disguise for me, was they just sent me guesting after guesting. Like, I wasn't there for half the year.
Really?
Yeah. Which ended up being great. So they sent me to Nevada Ballet to do a guesting there. I did Dracula with NBT. That's how I got hired at NBT.
Huh.
Then I did 3 different Nutcrackers. I went to Montana and then traveled around Utah for that. And then I did 7 weeks of outreach tours where Ballet West made a lot of money, but I wasn't paid for it.
Yeah. Jeez.
So I did perform Prince Desiree variation and stuff on gym floors for 7 weeks.
Oh, ouch. I'm so sorry.
But it was rough in the moment, but I got a lot of performance experience, which a lot of the other students who they wanted for the company or potentially wanted for the company didn't get. And those students were standing in the back of Swan Lake. They were standing in the back of Nutcracker. Well, I was actually performing with companies, getting that experience, and then I got hired after that year. So I didn't even have to do a second year of trainee. I got into a job. So it was worth it.
It sounds like it was great. I just more meant the gym floor.
The gym floor.
Gym floor.
You got some weird schools too in the middle of
That's hard. But it did sound like they actually did you a huge favor by allowing you to really perform way more than most would.
Yes.
So when people are looking on Ballet Scout for like trainee programs, or they're looking to apply to do that kind of stuff, is there a way, like on their website, you kind of have to really data mine to find like how big those programs actually are? How do you actually really ascertain what the size of those programs really look like?
It is hard to do it because it changes every year. The organizations are not as transparent about it. But for the ones that are, we do have like a size filter on there. So how big is the program going to be? Is it going to be 30 students in a class, or is this going to be like a 7-kid, just intense training program for me?
Right. So when schools are able to kind of advertise on Ballet Scout and talk about their program and kind of monitor that, are you going to have some requirements where they have to be a little bit more transparent about like what the fees are, like if they provide shoes, if they provide a stipend, like are you guys going to have those kinds of things to help parents and students kind of figure out and rule out what program might be, not for them and best for them?
Yes. There's a very extensive terms of service and privacy policy going on with that stuff. And basically, we also, it's going to be very heavily moderated, especially at the start.
Sure.
We're not, we have a team of data gatherers that go out and research stuff and they input that data. The organization is going to be able to put that data in there, but they are not going to be the sole party overseeing that. Our data gatherers are going to be just checking all of that. They approve everything that goes through and just making sure, okay, it's valid. They are being truthful about this. And if they're not, then we have the power to go in and edit that, and we're given warning. So yes, we do hope to encourage more transparency.
That's fantastic. One other thing that, and I think we put a blog post up about this. We did a series on kind of the path to becoming a professional dancer. And the last part of our series was around trainee, second company, studio company, what all of these things mean. Are you guys going to have any kind of filters that explain, like, for example, a trainee position at one company might be 2 steps removed from actually getting a job with the full company, whereas at other programs, it might be the top level of a school before you become an apprentice at a company?
No, that's hard. Because like you said, the terms are very synonymous. They go back and forth.
Yeah, they're inconsistent.
Very, very inconsistent. So that is another cool idea. You guys are giving me so many good ideas. like aware, like how close to the company is this level? Like some sort of graph.
Right. Well, and that's what we tell parents that all the time, that a trainee position at one program is equal to a second company at another program. And then you've got like this whole new tier of programs, the postgrad. And so like at PNB, postgrad is their trainee program.
Yes.
Postgrad at Boston is a level below BB2. And trainee at Joffrey is a level below studio company, but trainee at San Francisco Ballet is essentially their second company. So it's all over the map in terms of what they mean. And it's also all over the map in terms of the roles that the students get. And do they dance? Do they have their own program? Like Houston Ballet 2, for example, has their own performance schedule. Yeah. And, they dance like crazy. Other programs don't dance much at all. And so, or they stand in the back of company production.
Yep. One thing that we do have that I think is really helpful is a stipend filter for that. And that does give you a bit more insight on, is this trainee really a second company, or is this second company really a trainee? Like, is it paid? Is it stipend? So that I think is.
Well, I think the other thing that Ballet Scout, and I'm sure you guys are already doing this, but all these trainee and second company programs list a tuition number on their website. And for some, that tuition number is listed and not one student actually pays it. It's 100% scholarshiped. Mm-hmm. And so it can be really intimidating to look on a particular program's website and see, $12,500 for tuition and then $23,000 for housing. And then you find out it's actually 100% covered.
Yeah. I would say, just audition anyway, read the site, sometimes in fine print, but send your stuff and then they'll let you know if you get a scholarship.
Right. And use Ballet Scout for a lot of the research, because it sounds like you guys have aggregated so much that it's going to create big shortcuts for people.
Hopefully that's the goal.
Just wanted to thank you for everything. And
thank you. This was hugely helpful.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
If you would like to learn more about Ballet Scout, please visit our show notes for links to their content. We're really grateful to Robert for giving us so much of his time. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you liked what you heard on this episode, please take a moment and help us spread the word. Follow us and leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Tell a friend and share on your social media. Also, now that your dancer has returned from their summer intensives, please head over to ballethelpdesk.com and leave an anonymous review of the program. Help your fellow dance parents by letting them learn all about the good, the bad, and everything in between. To stay in the loop on all of our latest content, subscribe to our newsletter at ballethelpdesk.com and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, have a great day.